President Bola Tinubu recently presented to the Senate and the House of Representatives at a joint session the proposed 2025 Appropriation Bill of 49.7 trillion naira, with a deficit of 13 trillion naira as new borrowings. The budget is 3.87% of the estimated gross domestic product, as it is christened Budget of Restoration, Securing Peace and Building Prosperity, with a targeted revenue of 34.82 trillion naira to fund the projected aggregate expenditure of 47.9 trillion naira. Well, joining me on the program at this time to discuss this is Dr. Taofiq Raimi. He's a development expert and business economist and policy analyst. He joins virtually from Abuja. Thank you for your time, Dr. Raimi.
Thank you very much for having me, and thanks to, welcome to welcoming all our viewers across the globe to the program.
All right, it's great to have you too, sir. Let me just give a bit of background to this budget. Totaling about 49.7 trillion naira, and with, of course, a target revenue of 34 trillion naira. The president in that speech said he hopes to boost the value of the naira to the dollar from 1,700 to about 1,500 and drop inflation rate from 34% to about 15%. Many have said that this is pretty much laudable and a tall feat. What do you make of the president's presentation?
Thank you very much once again. Let me start this program to, first of all, to commiserate with the President of the Federal Republic, our own His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, on the incident, tragic incident that happened 2 days ago in Ibadan, Oyo State. I also commiserate with the governor of Oyo State. I noticed that you just heard part of that program or incidents a few moments ago before you, this program with me got started. This loss of life is very unfortunate. I am from Oyo State. Of course, I live in Abuja. Of course, I live and work in Abuja. I'm an international citizen. Nevertheless, home is home. So I really commiserate with the governor of my state, His Excellency, Governor Engineer Seyi Makinde, and the good people of Oyo State and the entire country over this loss. Be that as it may, I hope lessons will still be learned from this incident. I hope it will also prevent the reoccurrence of similar incidences in the future. This is not the first time we are having this kind of unfortunate tragic incidents at large gathering. There were incidences similar to this in Port Harcourt about 2-3 years back. And so I want to believe that for large gathering, government and the organizers must.
We also of course grieve with the state. I mean, really tragic one there.
So be this as it may, like I said, be that as it may, as regards the budget 2025 presented by our president, I want to, my initial take would be to commend our president for this giant focus budget that he has presented for the country, a budget of 49.7 trillion, of course in naira time. In our currency term is the largest ever in the history of our country. It shows how audacious our president is. It shows that he's a leader that does not shy away from taking big and bold decisions that can move our country forward. I truly believe that it's a budget that is very achievable. We will, in the course of the program, we will look at the various parts of this project. And now also we'll be proposing how we can, how the government and the country can achieve, even surpass the expectation.
All right. All right. One issue that has stood out as a sore thumb in all of this is the issue of debt servicing, which of course also gobs a bulk of this budget and the revenue target. But I would like you to speak in 30 seconds on the issue of debt servicing, which of course is also a chunk of the budget, and also the before we move to how this revenue target is hoped to be achieved.
Yeah, of course. Many have talked about the size of the deficit. I mean, the debt servicing. Of course, it looks large, 15.8 trillion. But again, if you look at what the president has done, is to ensure that we meet our commitment to creditors, as it were. We cannot continue as a country to pile up loans and facilities and debt and without looking at how to service it. So I believe that the president has done rightly, even in the last 18, since he came on to the shadow.
You said you believe that the president has done well.
Quite well. Yes, I believe that the president has done quite well in meeting our obligations to our creditors. The 15.8 trillion that is allocated or that is estimated to service our debt combines both local debt and international debt that we are owing as a country. When the president I believe that the focus of the president is also to ensure that we continue to remain credible, before our creditors, and that is a good thing to do. Otherwise, if we shy away from paying our debt, one, we would not have the credibility as a country. Nobody will also want to give us more loans. So I think this is a shift from what has been happening over the decade before. So I think the president's decision to budget 15.8 trillion to service our debt is laudable.
Okay. Before I take you, of course, on some other items on the budget, particularly how the revenue target is meant to be achieved, New Central had an exclusive with the special advisor to the president on media and public communication. That's in person of Mr. Sunday Diary. I would like you to listen to an excerpt of that interview, particularly as it relates to this issue of the budget, the proposed budget, and then, of course, take your reaction. Take a listen.
We look at this 49 trillion naira budget. The defense budget, of course, is impressive because security ties it all up. Even for our farmers, now we know that without security, our farmers can stay on the farm and there won't be the output we need. So you take security, huge, about 4.91 trillion. Then you take education, the highest, 7% of the budget by President Bola Tinubu, the highest in the annals of this country. In 2023, the last budget we had was barely 1.6, 1.5 trillion. Now we have a doubling of that amount. That's huge. You look at health, 2 trillion plus. You look at education, 3 trillion plus. And then you look at infrastructure. Infrastructure this time is massive. Infrastructure is 16 trillion. That is massive. And you know what infrastructure? It talks about energy, it talks about hospitals, it talks about road construction that will generate jobs and the rest. So you have 52 to 55% of the 2025 budget proposal presented by President Bola Tinubu based on capital, non-debt capital. That is revolutionary. And I think there are other key elements. You look at agriculture, for instance. It's stepping up in that budget from 400,000 metric tons of fertilizer. We're going to 1.2 million metric tons. That is revolutionary because we often forget that the twin factors that determine agricultural output is our security and also farm input in terms of fertilizer and seedlings. And there's a massive focus on that. You look at sports, for instance. I'm interested in sports. I've never seen a president that loves sports. We're moving from a 2.5 billion naira budget
for sports
to 78 billion naira. Isn't that revolutionary? With all the documents and the policies on ground to just move and implement. So, very ambitious. But you see a president who understands clearly what is needed to rebuild the economy, what is needed to make sure that there's prosperity in this country. You also throw in the tax reforms. Let me tell you right now, our revenue to GDP in Nigeria is the second lowest you can find anywhere in Africa. The OECD countries are there. The highest, what we have is about 1.6, 1.7. Is the second lowest. Go and check the data. Now, so how do you get that up? It starts from reforming your tax system. Now, this president understands the dynamics of a modern economy.
Let me say that you might just want to look around for this particular interview on News Central TV, the full blast on News Central TV. Of course, you can be rest assured it was pretty much robust. But let me come back to you. You had what the, of course, spokesperson to the president did say as regards some details in the budget, and they expressed optimism. But this is not so for quite a number of Nigerians who feel that this budget maybe does not even speak to their pockets. So I would like you to react to this. Does this budget reflect truly what the president actually christened it as a budget of restoration?
Yeah, for me, I completely agree with what the spokesperson of the president had.
So you don't have any reservations as regards the items in the budget?
You know, for me, like I said, if you look at the various aspects of the budget, first of all, people say what is in the name. There's a lot in the name. You know, the president has christened this budget as a budget of restoration, securing peace, and rebuilding prosperity. If you look at these three contests, you will see that for every item on this budget, of course, the details are still with the National Assembly, of course, but when you have the summary, the overview, I believe that it truly will meet this three conceptual frame that the president has christened this budget. When you look at the amount that has been allocated to security, you know, security and defense takes the lion's share of this budget, 4.91. With security, which the president also said is going to, in 2025, there will be a lot of technological introduction.
I'm sorry to cut in. I'm sorry to interrupt you because you mentioned security. This is not the first time Nigeria's budget, when it comes to allocations for security, takes a lion's share. We've seen that happen across multiple administrations. And if you ask an average Nigerian in terms of security, are we really making progress? I mean, I think that is pretty relative because even the MBS did release a report recently saying that Nigerians paid monies into trillions of naira in ransom. So does that reflect the amount, does the amount spent reflect the value Nigerians are getting? In 30 seconds.
Yeah, if you say, basically, the way you should look at the issue of security is that it's work in progress. Since this president come to the shadow, I believe that we have had some reasonable progress in terms of security in the land. Of course, security that we are fighting are numerous, as you know, and the team of our president, I believe they are making progress. All I can say is that, of course, there is the need to do more. If we do not fight insecurity frontierly, we will not be able to have food security in Nigeria. We will not also be able to have industrialization that is our quest. We will also not be able to have enabling environment for businesses to strive. That is why on the value, on the amount, I am saying that I agree with what has been proposed. There's no amount that we spend on the security and defense that could be too much, because that is what we need to be able to propel economic growth and create peace, protect life and property of our people. But as regards whether funds have been appropriately...
I'm sorry, Dr. Taofiq Raimi. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I understand that we need to, of course, go on a quick break now. When we definitely return, I'll allow you to touch down on your point, and then we'll talk about the revenue target, you know, as highlighted in that budget. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. Of course, this is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me, Dr. Taofiq Raimi, who's a development expert and also a business economist and a policy analyst. He joins me virtually from Abuja to discuss the president's recent budget proposal at the House. Thank you for staying with me, sir. Now, because we're really pressed for time, I would like your reaction to of course, a revenue target of about 34 plus trillion naira. You know, many are asking, how does this administration hope to generate the funds, given the realities of businesses? We have quite a number of them that have left the country. Many that are within, quite a number also are struggling. And we also look at, yes, there's a new tax reform bill, but looking at this figure and the potential of generating it, I mean, what do you think? How much of an impact do you think this will have on citizens?
A major impact. For instance, if this revenue comes on stream, there will be a lot of expenditure that will be met on infrastructure. You know, education has also been given prominence in this budget expenditure. Also, you can see that the president also intends to make sure that there's a lot that will be done in healthcare services. These are things that people, citizens are asking for. I believe that the revenue is also possible. The budget is predicated on oil at 2.0 oil production per day at 2.06 million per barrel. This is possible, especially as major attention is given to fighting insecurity, pipeline fertilization, and also working with the community where this oil is being generated as produced. So I believe that when you look at the dimensions of which the president has put this budget for expenditure, these are areas that touch the life of our citizens, and it's just for us to have confidence. It's just for us to also find a way to support in every aspect that we can, as citizens, as business people. You also talk of companies leaving Nigeria. Yes, while that is acknowledged, to also be aware that many other companies are also coming in.
Dr. Taofiq Raimi, I wish we really could continue, but I understand that we really need to go. Thank you so much for your time on the program. It's been a pleasure.
You are most welcome. You are most welcome. Thank you for having me.
Great. At this point, in case you missed out, you can actually catch up on our YouTube platform. There will also be a repeat broadcast later tonight. You can choose to follow News Central, across social media with that handle on your screen. You can also choose to follow me personally at Dakbo at Digboyi. Well, until I come your way next week, good night.